Hello everybody, welcome to episode 21 of the Joel Homie Show series, Artistic Tuesday. Hey, you there! I want to remind everybody that if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. And right now, YouTube says that over 90% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so it would really help, and with that... Hello everybody, I'm Joel Homie, your guys' host for episode 21 of the Joel Homie Show series, Artistic Tuesday, where today I'm going to be sticking with the same general theme that I've actually been sticking with for the last couple episodes, excluding one episode of my Artistic Tuesday series here on the channel, which is drawing a bunch of different characters from the animated series by Vivziepop here on YouTube that goes by the name of Hazbin Hotel. So today's video, I thought I would actually go ahead and stick with this theme, and I would actually relate back to what I did last episode, which was episode 20 of this series, where I actually drew Charlie, aka the Princess of Hell. So why not take a further step and draw the King of Hell, Lucifer. So if you don't know who Lucifer is, that's very understandable. He's not a character that gives very much background in the pilot episode. He's not discussed much. In fact, one of the only times I actually get to see him at all is actually in some picture frames in the background of the actual hotel, when Charlie and Vaggie and all of them are actually doing their thing in there throughout that series of scenes. But anyway, so today's video, I thought I would do the same thing as I've done recently, trying to enhance my skills as an artist to sort of put together different reference photos and add sort of like a challenge. So I actually have to sort of connect them and actually add my own brain into the situation and actually sort of draw certain parts that I can't find reference photos to and enhance my skills as an artist to get better in the future. So today's episode, of course, I will be using a couple different reference photos. I have one for the essential pose, which, as I said, in the background of the actual hotel in Hazbin Hotel, you can see a picture frame of Charlie and Lucifer together with Charlie's mom as well. And this is one of the only pictures that I could actually find as a good reference for sort of like a very clear picture of his face, his upper torso to mid torso, and then the rest of this, I presume I'm just going to sort of mess around and find some other things because, as I said, Lucifer is a character in Hazbin Hotel that doesn't have much background actually clarified in the actual pilot episode so far. But anyway, enough of me talking, let's go ahead and get into a time lapse and see how Lucifer turns out in the end. And with that, here is my interpretation, or rather my drawing of Lucifer, aka the King of Hell. So as you can see here, I think it ended up turning out quite well as well. I was drawing this, unlike many other drawings that I've done in the past on the series. I didn't have any really hard parts that I really struggled with on this, and I'm very thankful for that because when as I'm sure basically any person that's drawn anything before or any artist out there can relate to this, when you don't have any massive mistakes or any hiccups or anything that you get caught on while drawing is very fun and relaxing, and that's exactly how I felt while I was drawing this. I had a very easy time at drawing a lot of this, with the only parts being the usual weaknesses that I have, which is drawing faces and hands. That's a very common sort of weak spot upon artists that I've actually heard of, or ones that I actually know. And then moving down here, you've got sort of like his overcoat that sort of hangs down on the sides of his legs, which is also sort of like a weak spot for me when it comes to actually separating the legs from the actual overcoat down here. But I actually ended up having to use quite a lot of different sources and sort of my own head when I was actually drawing this section without reference photos at all, because due to Lucifer not giving much background in the pilot episode yet, there's actually not many actual official pictures or sort of like source photos of Lucifer Lucifer that have actually been drawn by either Vivziepop or the actual animation team for Hazbin Hotel, or Hell of a Boss to that extent. So I actually had to end up using sort of reference photos from Alistair, which he has the sort of like the same general overcoat that comes down, and I also used sort of my general experience with drawing Vox, which also has the same general thing that comes down here on the sides of his legs. And then with that, I ended up using reference photos of just some other people that had drawn Lucifer as well. And then other than that, I'll just give you guys a quick rundown of everything as I see it, and sort of my experience with drawing everything. So you've got his top hat here, which is the first thing that I drew, with the worm and the apple sort of wrapped around it and sitting on it rather. And then you've got his face, which I actually think turned out quite well compared to how much trouble I usually have drawing faces, which his eyes were actually something that I was terrified of drawing throughout this whole entire thing. And when I started it, I was just waiting for this entire good drawing so far to go to absolute crud, and that I was going to have to ruin it by erasing it so many times and blowing through the paper. But it actually ended up turning quite well, and as anybody that has drawn anything, or even any artist out there can probably relate, when you don't have any hiccups and you have a nice sort of calm time and you're drawing something without any sort of difficulty redrawing something, it is a very calm and nice process while drawing something when you don't have to deal with anything like that. And that's exactly how I felt while I was drawing this, because just about everything at max I only had to redraw probably about 3 or 4 times at tops. And then moving down, you've got sort of like the part of his overcoat that sort of wraps around the back of his neck. I'm sure there's an official term, but I don't know it. And then you've got his bow tie right below that. And then you've got his sort of his undershirt with sort of like these little latches going across his overshirt, of which I'm sure they also could possibly have an official term, but once again, I'm not sure as to what that is. And then, as I had said earlier, these 2 arms, I actually did change the pose quite a bit. This arm is actually the same as the reference photo, but his hand I changed up because in the original source photo, his little staff with the apple on top is actually going across here. But due to me actually drawing the entire torso so well, in my opinion, I actually didn't want to draw a line across it and risk having to erase it and redo it, and it ended up worse than it was. So I ended up changing his hand pose a little bit so that it was just going straight up and down rather than going all the way across here. And then moving it to his right arm, you can see here that this one is just simply sort of raised with his hand sort of waving. I could add motion lines to make it look like he was waving, but at the time I just sort of wanted to have his hand out there rather than doing what was actually in the reference photo, which, as I had said, is actually a sort of a picture frame from the actual hotel in the pilot episode, where his hand and his arm is actually wrapped around Charlie, and of course, well, there's no Charlie here. And then moving down, his legs turned out decent in my opinion, as I said, due to Lucifer being a character that doesn't have much background yet. I don't actually know if I drew these completely accurate to how Lucifer will actually be revealed in future episodes, but either way, I had a really fun time drawing this, and I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I do hope that the people that have been suggesting that I draw more Hazbin Hotel characters did appreciate today's video. But with all that being said, if you guys enjoyed today's video,